Hello, welcome to Rock and Roll by the Numbers with Bob and Justin. I'm Justin,
And I'm Bob.
and on today's show, we are going concerting again. So we are going into our second episode of a concerting we will go. On the first episode, we talked about a lot of concerts that Bob has seen and a couple that I have seen. And today we're going to delve back into that. You can catch us on Twitter at Rock and Roll BTN. You can email us your suggestions for future shows, rockandrollbtn at yahoo.com. And you can also leave comments on this video down below. We also have an album swap to get to, and we'll do that first. Bob gave me Paul Weller's 1992 self-titled album, his first solo album, I do believe. And I gave him AM by the Arctic Monkeys 2013. Would you like me to go first? Or
Yeah, go right ahead, sir.
Paul Weller is a very smooth, soft rocker. That's how I'll say it, very smooth. He reminds me a lot of Tom Jones if Tom Jones was more of a rock star. Like he's got a Tom Jones smooth voice, especially on the first song, which was Uh-huh, Oh Yeah, which is my second favorite song on the album. It's probably the poppiest song on the album and maybe the most singable, I think. The most earwormy on the album. My favorite song on the album was Round and Round. I did like the last song, Cosmos, a lot. I enjoyed all the sound bites from NASA and JFK in that song. I enjoyed the guitar, the underlining guitar in that song. It was very heavy-duty rock and roll, and I almost wanted more of that guitar in that song. And I did like the way it just ended. Because Bob said this song just abruptly ends, and I did like that. Other songs that I wanted to talk about. I only took notes on a few songs because most of the album is kind of the same. It's very soft rocky, very jazz rock is what I wanted to say, jazz rocky. But not jazzy because I don't like jazz, but there's lots of horns, lots of wah-wah guitars. I'm not sure if it's an actual guitar I heard or a wah-wah sound from a synthesizer, but I like the wah-wah that got played throughout the album. I really like Bull Rush. That's a song we've talked about, me and you together. Probably the first song I heard off that album. Above the Clouds I liked. I also liked the flute and or the pan flute I heard throughout this album. I haven't looked up the instrument liner notes to find out what was played or by who. Lots of horns, lots of cool guitars. The guitar in Round I really liked. It was almost a little bit psychedelic. Oh yeah, also had a lot of weird instrumentation in the beginning of that song that I enjoyed. But yeah, nice, easy listening album. I would like to get into more Paul Weller. In fact, I was, because I don't know if I like this album as much as I would if I knew Paul Weller. So I'm going to get into more Paul Weller and maybe some of the Style Clash. So that's my thoughts on Paul Weller. Nice. Give it a listen. See what you think. And email us your thoughts. Let us know what you think of these albums. What do you think of AM by Arctic Monkeys, Bob?
Well, very interesting album. And lo and behold, with my research, I saw 7 of these songs live when they warmed up the Black Keys. And
where did you see the Black Keys at?
I saw the Black Keys and Arctic Monkeys at Shavitz Arena, the SLU Arena here in St. Louis.
Okay. What year was that around?
That would have been
13,
2014.
Okay.
The 2014 tour. But yeah, I knew of them then, but I didn't know any songs. And now that I listen, I mean, it was I don't want to say melancholy or dark, but I really like those songs now that I come back to think of it, especially since I've been listening to AM. They are melancholy. They are sort of dark. I don't know the Arctic Monkeys that well, but I heard that they had a previous album that was sort of poppy.
The previous album was Shut Up and I can't
Suck
remember.
It.
Shut Up and Suck It. And I didn't like that album because I love this album. It's in my top 5. And I went back and listened to, I'm not a fan of their previous work. I think it was too poppy, too punky, it's just not for me. This album was for me. They slowed it down. The production is right on. Paul Weller. Well-produced album, I'll tell you that. Nicely produced. I do have one note. One of the songs in the end, I can't remember what song it is off the top of my head right now. It might have been Cosmos. I think it was Cosmos. I think that the only problem I have production-wise with this album is the sound mixing in Cosmos almost sucks for the lyrics. You almost can't hear him singing. And then the sound bites come in and they're very loud. So in your headphones, you're struggling to hear him. And then it's like, one small step from, oh, good Lord, blow my eardrums out, Neil Armstrong. But it's a very well-produced album, except for that one minor gripe I have. But AM's very well-produced as opposed to
slick. It's slick. It's
garage
it's
sound.
An English band, slick-sounding, melancholy, darker atmosphere type album, and that's all up my alley. In fact, I really enjoyed it. I think they had 6 singles off of this, and we should start there. Do I want to know? I really love that song. It's like, do I really want to know what you think of me? Because I'm all for you, but do I really want to know if it's returned?
The guitar lick that starts off that song and album is awesome. That's what hooked me into the CD and made me listen to it more than once.
And Are You Mine? Same vein. A lot of romantical interludes here, and none of it's certain. A lot of it's uncertain for who is it? Alan Turner?
Alex Turner.
Alex Turner. And Are You Mine? I like that song. One for the Road. It's another, really, really good song, because this is like the end of a party. And so there's endings to parties. There's uncertain relationships. Melancholy, it's not happy. Then I finally got to party anthem number 1. It's like, okay, now they're gonna. Oh no, that's still a melancholy.
Number one party at number one.
That's
party
still
anthem.
It's still a melancholy party song. So they didn't rise above all that, which is very consistent, and I really like that. Arabella, really cool song. I like that one. I like that one a lot. That's
a lot of cool references.
Sort of like a rock and roll fantasy almost. Where he's dreaming and he includes all this. And yeah, really, really good writing.
Barbarella silver swimsuit.
And I know you didn't particularly like the video of Why'd You Only Call Me When You're High.
I've only seen it once, and I
sort of liked it because it started out with an Arctic Monkeys song they were playing in the bar. And then it goes into the actual song, and I thought it was all about him singing to the gal about why you call me when you're high all the time, when it's the gal telling him. And he's on his way home. He's 3 a.m. in the morning, just ending the party, and he goes to the wrong house, and he's been calling the wrong number. So that was sort of the ironic ending to the video. But I really liked that. I really liked it. It's Snap Out of It. It's another single. Really good song. Knee Socks.
Knee Socks is Josh Homme's in the end of that song. Yeah, from Queens of the Stone Age.
And I Want to Be Yours. Very good song. And once again, it's the melancholy take of a love affair that could happen or is happening in his mind but not happening in reality. Really cool. Then I noticed the Japanese version.
Now you have one up on me because I do not know the Japanese bonus tracks.
Yeah.
But I don't.
2013 was a hidden track 1 minute after the last song plays, silence, and then 2013 comes out on the Japanese track. And that is also on a vinyl, a 7-inch vinyl with another song. Stop the World, I Want to Get Off With You, and I have not heard that song.
But you heard 2013?
I've heard 2013, and it was good. It fits right on the album. It's the same. It's the same studio overtones, and I did read where Arctic Monkeys wanted to do this in a more studio atmosphere and have a studio album, and I think they succeeded.
That's a very nice studio album. It's sharply produced. I mean, both these albums we're talking about today, the production is through the roof. Like all the sound mixing that went in that Paul Weller album, good Lord, because I mean, you want to talk about a wall of sound. Like, I mean, you don't even have to make a wall with all the instruments he has. All the saxophone is great. Why doesn't that album get talked about more with saxophone people? You know, you get Baker Street. People always talk, oh, Baker Street's a great saxophone. There's some great saxophone on this album.
Well, I'll tell you what. Paul Weller, while he is known here, not heavily known here, he's huge in the UK. The Arctic Monkeys are huge in the UK. Maybe even more so than here, even though AM went platinum. I don't know how much more huger you could really be on that. And yeah, I was just blessed to see that live and experience it. And yeah, they are slick. They all dress very sharply on stage. They've got a clean
Alex Turner dresses
sound.
like a 1950s
Yes,
greaser.
he does.
Yeah.
He does. And they're very tight as a band. And but I don't think they could play AM freelance. It's a very cohesive, tightly grooved album, and yeah, I would give that probably 4 out of 5 stars easily.
At any point, it's my favorite album. But then my top 5, any one of those could be my favorite. It just depends on the day. But that's one of the albums that, no matter what mood I'm in, if I want to listen to something good, I can play that album. Concerts. Let's talk about Diana Ross. We teased this on the last Concerting We Will Go episode, where we talked about Diana Ross was yelling at people in the audience. Tell us the whole story about Diana Ross. Where was the concert? About what time?
The concert was in Chicago in the mid-'80s. I would say 82 or 83. It was at the Rosemont Horizon, which is now the United Center. No, it's not the United Center. That is downtown Chicago. This is in the suburbs. I'll just call it the Rosemont Horizon now, because that's what it was.
That's a world-famous
It's in
stadium.
Rosemont,
World-famous
Illinois.
arena.
And the thing about her in that, she was in the round. She was in the center. So the stage was round in the middle of the arena, and she came out there. The entrance to the stage was a big to get up there, and yeah, she's a diva. She's a diva.
You got to walk all the way through the crowd to get up there.
She had to walk whatever aisleway they had with her and her band, and went up there, and she introduced herself, and she started singing. I can't remember the set list or anything like that, but she did all her Supreme stuff. She did all of her super Diana Ross hits. Obviously, she's going to do that.
Was there an opening act, or was it just her?
Just her.
I could not
I do
imagine
not.
her having
Yeah,
an opening
because
act.
In the round, that would be awkward for an opening act unless they're really close. So, but anyway, during one of her, probably the second or third song, a couple got up to go to the facilities or go get a Coke or whatever they were going to do. And she stopped and looked right at them and said, "Where are you going?" And I don't know what they said. They were probably just as, she goes, and this goes for everybody. There is no moving around. There is no walking around while I'm singing the songs. There will be ample opportunity for you to go to the facilities during the in-between songs, but don't ever get up in the middle of my song. And boy, those people went and sat back down. And we're like, oh boy, somebody who paid $50 for this ticket just got yelled at.
Where were you sitting in the arena?
We were sort of close, and it was tickets that were given to us by my wife's friend, and we had really good seats. And I was sort of like, yeah, okay, I'll go. But I'm glad I did. It was good. And to see a diva in actual action, that was pretty good.
I would put it on the music bucket list.
Yeah.
That's why, even after we were warned about Bob Dylan not sounding as good as he could, which he did, by the way, I'm like, I don't care. It's a music bucket list item. I want to see Bob Dylan. So what other concerts do you want to talk? I see you have U2 over there. Asterisk.
U2. I saw them twice. I saw them in 84 '84, I want to say. It was the Unforgettable Fire Tour, and when we saw him, it was in Chicago at the Chicago University or University of Illinois at Chicago Circle, brand new arena, and in '85, and they sang, and Bono sort of had issues with his voice that day. He couldn't hit his high notes, and then I noticed Edge could pick up when he's not gonna make it, and he picked up the guitars amplification and sort of covered for the singer. And they said they were not. They said they apologized and everything, but they were not going to cancel the show just because of that. And so that was '85, and then I saw.
Do you remember any songs that they played off of that album?
They played pretty much the whole album, Wide
Did it still
Away.
sound good?
Yeah.
Where were you in the arena on that?
We were in the upper deck, but first row upper deck. So it was a really, really good seat. And then we saw him that would have been '90 for the Zoo TV tour. And that was gaudy, audacious. They had cars hanging down from the rafters. And I saw him at Kansas City Arrowhead Park, Arrowhead Stadium. So it was outdoors, nice weather. They had satellite TV, which was new at the time, playing in the background the whole time. It was so cool. And like I said, they had cars that came up in a song or two that was relevant. It was a very, very well organized show that was so new for everybody. Zoo TV, Zoo Station.
How long was the show?
It was about 2.5 hours, and it was just them. There was no warm up band. And
the first time you saw them, was it just them?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I believe it was, but I'm not sure. And
if it was anybody memorable,
Yeah. And the Zoo TV one was off the charts, different. And if you like Achtung Baby, they played pretty much the duration of the album, and with obviously their main ones off of Joshua Tree and whatever. But yeah, and but they sort of left that one behind a little bit, and they just moved into new direction with Zoo Station with Achtung Baby, and it worked. And it was a very, very memorable show, and that never saw anything like it.
Was this before the Zooropa album?
Yes, Zooropa was actually done during that tour, and it came out while they were in Australia.
I would say
the Australian leg of the tour.
Did they play Did they play Numb or Lemon or?
I believe they did, which nobody knew. So it was like new songs that nobody heard because Zooropa was not out yet. And I remember that, and that one took a while to get used to because it was different than Achtung Baby. There's no two ways about that.
Still not a big fan of that album, but
I
appreciate it. I'm just not a big.
It was like Zoo Station 2 remnants almost, and so like they did play. That's right, they did that. Because they had all the cars up there, and they had one all crashed up, so Daddy gonna drive your crashed car, and so songs like that, and Lemon, I like that song.
I do. I think those are the only two songs on the album I really liked back in the day. I haven't listened to that album in a while. I need to give it another listen, but those were the two I really liked. Once again, falsetto, soprano, whatever he was singing in, really good.
And then he took his alternative character, the Fly, got these really cool sunglasses and played the Fly off of Achtung Baby, and actually turned down in I've got the disc from Australia when they played live. He turned a Fly into another character called McFisto, and so he dressed up in all these, and he was sort of like an evil type guy, and called a Australian radio, not a radio station, but an operator to order a taxi cab home. And
on stage,
and the operator eventually hung up on him, which I think was the whole point of the thing.
So-
And it's like, you don't hang up on McFisto.
So Bono was making prank phone calls on stage?
Yes. And they did a unique one with, they brought in Lou Reed actually sang Satellite of Love. That's a Lou Reed song, and they sang it. He was on the remote part up on the satellite, and Bono was down, so it was like a duet with Lou Reed, who wasn't even there.
They did the same thing on the MTV Video Music Awards with Dana Carvey as Garth from Wayne's World playing drums on Even Better Than the Real Thing, I want to say.
Yeah, and that was on there. But yeah, so Until the End of the World, The Fly, One, which is a very good song, Zoo Station. They played the whole duration.
How long do they make one live? Because I can imagine you could really stretch that song out.
Let's see, it's probably, what, 5 something on there. They could make it into 7-8 minutes easily.
I would love to see that. Just that. Just
Yeah,
play
very
that
good,
song for
very
10
good
minutes.
show,
I'll be happy.
very
guy.
good show. Yes.
What else you want to talk about on your list of concerts that's never ending?
Let's see here. I got Santana. Did we
Ooh.
talk about Santana?
When did you see Santana?
I saw Santana 3 times in high school. So I saw him,
Him or them?
the Santana group.
Now hold on, before we go on. Is it always been a them, or is it a him, or is it... Because like Alice Cooper was a them, and now it's a him. Has Santana always been a them?
Yeah, I mean, it's everyone knows who you're there to see, but he would be the first to say he can't do what he does without them.
So why does Santana get... why does all this confusion about Santana, the band? He's a guitar player in the band. It's named after him. But we don't have the same confusion about another band, Van Halen, which is named after its guitar player.
Yeah.
That's odd to me. But how was Santana?
Yeah,
Talk about
Santana. The first time I saw him,
3 times in high school?
Yeah, the first time was at an outdoor facility, Pine Valley or Pine Knob, I want to say.
In Detroit?
Yes, in Clarkson, right outside of Detroit, and that was good. And Foreigner, coming off their first album, warmed them up, which was really, really. I like that Foreigner first album. It's really good.
What were some of the hits off the first album?
Oh, Head Knocker, Long, Long Way from Home, Cold as Ice, Feels Like the First Time.
Okay.
So
That's an appropriate song to be on your first album.
That's right. And Santana obviously knocked it out of the park. They do their 20 minutes drum solo, 20-minute guitar solo all throughout the whole thing. And then I saw Santana in a festival setting, and I can't remember who was all there. Saw him at that point, but the best one, I had my best friend, and we had our girlfriends, and it was Valentine's Day, and we had front row, center, upper deck at like the Fox Theater. Best, like where we were going to sit for Fogerty.
Like the Fox, but not the Fox. It's still in Detroit.
It's Detroit's Fox.
Yeah.
And so it's the same fancy chandeliers and all that there.
So first row balcony center. Oh.
Yeah. And
I'm so disappointed we didn't. Aisle seats too. Oh,
and
come
that
on.
would have been the Moonflower tour. Where Moonflower and Moonflower came out with a double live album afterwards. And so you could pick up Moonflower and see exactly what I saw. It was just off the charts. What a sound. What a view. And it was sitting there with your girlfriends. That was a top show. That was a top-notch show. So,
How good was Carlos live?
He's off the charts. He's just off the charts. If whatever you hear on the record, it's just amplified more, but perfectly portrayed. I mean, Carlos is good.
We talked on the phone the other night about who is the greatest living guitarist. Or not even living, like who's the best guitarist besides Jimmy? My guess would have been Carlos. And you hit me with Stevie Ray Vaughan, which, by the way, I did look up and I did watch him play Voodoo Child. It's awesome.
Yes, he does.
But I think Carlos could do that too.
Yeah, Carlos could. Yeah.
I think he's definitely the greatest living.
And Carlos is humble. He's a good leader. He's probably a great band leader. And not to mention off the charts talent wise.
Have you ever seen Eric Clapton live?
No, just with Roger Waters. I did not see a Eric Clapton show.
But you got to watch Eric Clapton play guitar.
Yes.
Oh man, that's a bucket list right there. You saw Santana play guitar, Eddie Van Halen play guitar, Eric Clapton play guitar. You ever see a Guns N' Roses show? You ever see Slash?
Nope.
Well, if Guns N' Roses tours again, which they could.
They probably will.
Yeah.
That was such a success.
What about AC/DC? You ever see Angus?
No, I have not.
There's another one.
Yeah,
if they
I
ever
would go
tour
see
again.
him.
What do you want to close out on, Bob?
I'll close out on, let's see, I've got two of them here.
Okay.
This is just a quick mention because this was probably the loudest concert that I ever been at.
Hold on. Let's play a guessing. Let me guess because I can't see that list right now. The loudest concert you've ever been at.
And we're talking both bands, and this was a double feature.
So both these bands.
And this
same
would have
show,
been 77.
like one open for the other.
Yeah.
Okay, so two bands, one open for the other. Headliner. I'm gonna try to guess the headliner. We talked about Sammy, right? It's not Sammy and Montrose.
No.
Something louder than that.
Yep.
Black Sabbath. Have you ever seen a Black Sabbath show?
No, I have not.
I bet that'd be loud.
I bet you that would be loud.
I don't. I have no clue.
And speaking of which, AM has been compared to Black Sabbath.
I can see
riffs.
that. I can see that.
Yeah.
I think AM might be a little too polished, to stand up with.
But
Black
they were
Sabbath,
just
but
talking
yeah.
riff-wise.
Oh yeah.
A riff
Do I want
of
to
Black
know?
Sabbath. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool album. And when we go for our second tournament of badass songs, the current edition, one of those has got to be in there. Probably Do I Want to Know or Arabella. So.
But yeah, my head was ringing after this one. And both bands, they cranked it out.
You might as well. I'm never going to get it.
No, you won't, because they're back in the day. They were both huge, and Foghat. Foghat was the first one. Fool for the City.
Slow Ride.
And a few others, and they warmed up Nazareth.
Oh, Nazareth.
So now you're messing.
If I paid
with the
attention to you earlier, I'd have known that.
Yeah.
You mentioned it.
And yeah, they both. I mean, obviously Nazareth had the one badass song.
What was their ballad? They had a ballad that was pretty high charting too.
Love Hurts.
Love Hurts. There you go.
And now
what a dichotomy.
Yeah.
You don't, totally different song.
Yeah, and the ironic thing, Don McCafferty, he was the I hope I got his name right, but he's a lead singer for Nazareth. Well, coming into Detroit,
I'll Google it and tell you if you're wrong.
Coming into Detroit, he fell off the plane steps and broke his leg or broke his foot.
Before this concert?
Just before arriving for this show.
Did he pull a Dave Grohl?
He pulled a Dave Grohl. He had it all cast up. I don't think he walked out. I think.
What did you say his name was?
Don McCafferty.
Dan McCafferty.
Dan McCafferty. I wasn't that far off. And he sat in the chair with his cast and blasted out the. Yeah, it was special. And Nazareth, blow your face out. There's no two ways about that.
Apparently they're still rocking. Can you believe that? I wouldn't mind going to see Nazareth.
And they're probably huge back home in Ireland, Scotland, I think they're from.
Who was the louder of the two bands, Foghat or Nazareth? And where was this again?
This would have been at Cobo Hall in Detroit. So it was
another
only
famous arena.
Yeah, 10,000, 11,000 people there, and yeah, it was. I could still remember that my ears ringing.
How
for
far away?
so long.
How far away was your seat?
We were pretty decent. I think we were mid-center front row, so it was sort of close. But we were up a little bit, so we had a little angle to it. But we were quite close, and right next to the side of speakers.
Oh wow!
And
maybe that had something to do with it being the loudest show you've been to. What was the quietest show you've ever been to?
Don't think there was many quiet ones.
The one where you were outside listening?
The quiet one for me would have been Kansas because I got sick. I criticized people who get sick at a concert than I got sick at Kansas.
What do you mean by sick? You were throwing up?
Yeah, I threw up. Somebody gave me a big popcorn bucket to finish in, and mind you, I was highly critical of all the people who got overwasted at a concert, and so I had to eat my own words literally, and my friends all harassed me the whole time, and I deserved it.
Too many glasses of water?
Too many glasses of water and big old pipes and a green apple. That was the thing that did it. A green apple. And I'll finish up with one more that would turned out to be a show and a half coming back. David Bowie, and that was right when the Rosemont Horizon opened. I think it was one of the first shows. In fact, the parking lot was still dirt.
I'm not only jealous of the shows you've seen, I'm jealous of all the arenas you've been to. As a wrestling fan, you just mentioned Cobo Hall, the Rosemont Horizon.
Yeah.
You ever been to Madison Square Garden?
No, not there. But David Bowie was fantastic, and this was the Let's Dance tour. And
1980.
Yeah, and this was a one. Yeah, this would have been 85-ish. Okay. And David was not. He assumed all these characters: Thin White Duke, Ziggy Stardust. Well, he came out as David Bowie. Oh. He had no persona. He was just David Bowie. But I would say just a suit, a nice suit, well dressed, short hair. Okay. He looked. And he sounded so good. But what he left behind was a whole group of people that were still dressing up. And this was probably the funkiest crowd I had ever seen at a show, with all of the outfits. We saw Ziggy Stardust all over the audience.
How many people had a lightning bolt on their face?
Lots of people had lightning bolts on their faces.
How many people had no eyebrows?
Insane. Yeah, it was absolutely what you would think David Bowie would have done 10 years before, if not 15 years earlier.
Did you see any naked half men, half dog creatures?
But that was the Magical Moonlight Tour and Mystical Moonlight Tour. It's one of those two things. And off the charts good. Every song you wanted David Bowie to play, he played. And the best thing about it was I ordered 4 tickets for me, my wife, and our friends, and we got 5 back in the mail. Oh. So we had like a little raffle to see who was going to go and be our fifth friend.
Who won?
It was just a guy we worked with. Oh. But yeah, I was like, what? An extra ticket? Yeah.
Awesome. And those were back in the day where it wasn't just like, the internet mess.
Yeah.
Charge your credit card back. So you probably had to send them a money order or something, right? Or write them a check.
Yeah. So, and it was a hot ticket. And mind you, it was, like I said, their parking lot had no parking spaces. It was just a big pile of flattened out dirt. And I had 4 people in my car I was driving telling me which way to go. So I had to shut all their mouth and focus on where I wanted to leave. Because it was a free-for-all.
Sammy Hagar. Ted Nugent.
Yeah, Ted Nugent, free-for-all.
2 questions real quick. Don't get mad at me. Did David Bowie play instruments, or did you just sing?
He would play an occasional guitar, acoustic guitar,
did he play anything today?
But it was all rhythm. He was not like a lead.
Okay.
Yeah, he had his guys.
He did play some many songs.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
And did every song?
Like Heroes. Any song that you from his past. Space Oddity. Of course. And then it was Let's Dance. Cat People.
Was China Girl out by then, or?
China Girl was on that album.
Fame,
Blue Jean. Fame. Wow, it's a really good song that was on the studio. Seeing that live and done in a rock and roll vein was just 20 times better.
Did he have all the background singers and
dancers? He had everything. It was the whole 9 yards. And it was beyond. I was so happy that we got those tickets, the extra one.
My last question is, because we talked about some famous arenas, the Cow Palace. You ever been to the Cow Palace?
No.
Okay, that's another famous wrestling arena. So, I didn't know if you've been. That's in Detroit, right? The Cow Palace.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure now. I
not
think it's
sure.
in Detroit. I don't know. I
Not
don't
sure.
remember. Well, I'll try. I'll look it up.
The Palace of Auburn Hills used to be one, but
What's the big
tore
WrestleMania
that
3
down.
Silverdome? Silverdome.
yeah, that's
You
all
ever
torn
been-
down too.
Were you ever at the Silverdome?
Oh yes,
For a concert or
yeah, it's
for?
for the Who.
Oh, okay. We talked about
Yeah,
that.
we
didn't
talked about that,
Yeah.
yep.
The Who. So, what out of all these concerts that you've seen, ones we've talked about, ones we haven't, if you could only go back and see one concert again, maybe not your favorite, but if a time machine showed up and they could only take you back to a concert that you've already seen, which one would you go back and see again?
Well, most of the people I've talked about are actually still doing it, so I don't need to see them. So it would probably be, I see two of them here. Saw Pink Floyd with a waterless Pink Floyd. Now, I would like to see a full Pink Floyd, which will never happen again because two are
done.
past.
Yeah.
And David Bowie, because he's passed. And they were both really, really.
If I had to choose one concert off your list,
And I seen Bruce Springsteen.
Queen. I'd like to go see Queen.
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah, and Queen is another one. And
Yeah.
Bruce Springsteen, I've seen 3 times too.
We're not going to talk about Bruce Springsteen.
That could be a whole show in and
I
of
would,
itself.
I would like to leave in a good mood, and I'm still mad about this. He had an extra ticket to Bruce Springsteen. His wife didn't want to go. She was not feeling well. And thought about calling somebody, but didn't.
Because I was sick.
You still went.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd have went with you. I'd have
Yeah.
gotten sick. I don't care. Would have been awesome. But for next time, there's not going to be a next time because the next time, it's going to be both of us anyway. Hopefully, John Fogerty, Pearl Jam, or one of these touring bands that we just talked about. Somebody's got to come here. Well, that was a really good episode. I look forward to seeing the third part of a concerting we will go because there's still enough on that list. We didn't talk about the Cars yet.
Yeah, and it's so funny because you said bring up a little anecdote or a little tidbit of each, and there is. Everyone has some sort of something that I remember about it, whether it be an extra ticket or my high school girlfriend or a fantastic show.
That is our show for this week. Next week, I don't know what we'll talk about. We'll figure it out. And as Billy Joel once said, it's still rock and roll to me.
And I agree with Billy. Me too.